Welcome to Speaking in Spoons with your host, Christina Brookman.
Hi, welcome to Speaking in Spoons. I'm Christina Brookman, your host, and today we have a special episode about Wish Come True, a company that makes princess and fantasy videos for children with disabilities and terminal illnesses. Here is Izzy Duval, the creator and founder of this company, who also has a child with a very rare disability. Hi, Izzy. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, Christina. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and to get to chat with you.
Oh, yeah. I know this has been a long time coming for both of us to
Yeah.
share these experiences. So Izzy, tell us a little bit about yourself and Wish Come True and kind of where Wish Come True came from.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I am a mom, among other things, but I'm a mom to a fantastic, joyful, hilarious 5-year-old girl named Dallas. And she has an assortment of medical complexities. I never had experienced much of this world until we had her, but she was a NICU baby with a traumatic birth as well. So we had just got blasted into this whole world. And of course, it was difficult at first, but I think I'm the kind of person that I am always trying to find the place wherever I'm at that I can help and that I can use whatever I have in me to make things better for the people around me. So I think I naturally progressed toward Wish Come True. As Dallas's mom. So Dallas has a couple of different ultra rare diseases. One is AHC, or alternating hemiplegia of childhood. There's some discussion around changing it to childhood to complex. So it'd be alternating hemiplegia complex because it's misleading. You'd think that they grow out of it and they don't. She also has, like you, hemiplegic migraine, and the correlating genes that go with those. And of course, we knew none of this before we had her. That came a couple of years down the line. But as we were, enduring hospital stays, I remember one time being at the big hospital Children's Mercy, and she was doing a long EEG after having some seizure-like activity. And they had music therapy there, and it was just so
Wow.
simple. Yeah, it was COVID times, so it was just like a TV and people on the TV doing guitar, but you knew they were in the hospital somewhere. And then they brought an egg shaker by to each room for the kids to use. And I think as someone who music's a big part of my life, and my background is as an actor and musical theater actor, performer, and educator, to like have that moment that I could connect to with Dallas was really special. And we were
Yeah.
taking videos and she's shaking the egg and she has the, her her little mummy hat on for the EEG. And it was just like a really joyful memory, even though it's so simple. And so I think there's like been many moments like that along our journey with her that I've just seen these like sparks of joy. And so kind of as I was learning and finding my role as her caregiver, and now I'm her full-time caregiver, and just my role as a mom of an incredible kid who has these differences, I think it naturally came to wanting to use my gifts of theater, acting, music, and education to try to make a difference in this incredible world of rare disease and medical complex and disability folks that I never really knew before.
Yeah.
My thought is like, okay, well, what's my place? Like, what can I do? And I think I went through some of the typical parent things of like, I'm going to raise awareness, or I'm going to fundraise, or, whatever. And eventually I think I just was actually doing yoga one night, and it was like the idea just dropped in my head. And I just thought, if there's one thing that this community needs more of, that I know I can meet the need of, it's just joy. Like, I would love
Yes.
to be the researcher. I didn't even take chemistry in high school, so that probably shouldn't be me, even though I do like to play on Google like I can. But I can bring joy. And so I was just like, well, let's try to do that. And so I think I've spent the past 2-ish years kind of getting the company started and recruiting actors and getting some different programs started that all just serve the purpose of bringing joy and a level of being known and understood and feeling special and seen to kids of all ages. We're happy to do adults as well. And so our primary project is making videos for kids who are hospitalized, or, are stuck at home and not able to get out much, or going through tough things. But we also do community events at like Ronald McDonald House, and visit kids in the hospital. And it's just, all of it is just incredibly meaningful and makes me feel like, in some way, even though it's not, always Dallas that I'm bringing joy to, she loves it all, but it makes me feel like I can bring something into the community that brings life and hope, and that makes this journey for me a lot easier and a lot less despair.
It must give you a sense of control and I think power is the wrong word, but in a world where you can often feel completely out of control, particularly as a parent watching your child go through this. Like you said, I have hemiplegic migraines like Dallas does.
Mm.
And for me, it's I know what it's like going through the moment, and it's extremely scary, particularly when they first started.
Mm.
And there's very little anything people can do around me. And I know it was terrifying for my parents and my ex-boyfriend. It was very traumatic for them to watch me. And for those listening, and watching hemiplegia migraine, and the condition that Dallas has is where it's kind of like a stroke.
Mm.
You period it resembles a stroke. Your face droops, your
Mm.
eyes will clam shut. For me, sometimes the other eye clams shut as well. It's all my right side. I can't lift my right leg. I can't lift my right arm. And when it gets really bad, it's like you're frozen,
Yeah.
completely paralyzed. And when it gets really bad, you can't even speak.
Mhm.
So your voice is taken away. You can't protect yourself. And I just, I can't even imagine what that's like watching your child.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, I admire you and applaud you for taking a scary situation like this, and finding a way that you can help other children like Dallas and their families through, like other parents feel like this is something I can do to help my child, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I mean, it is terrifying, and I often feel, the opposite of what you're saying, of like, I know what my experience and how scary it is for me to watch and to see her in pain and not be able to do a whole lot.
Yeah,
But it makes me always like think about, like, I can only imagine what she's going through. And she
yeah.
started having these episodes, I mean, from birth,
Oh, wow.
of one-sided paralysis, and then dystonia, like terrible dystonia episodes started when she was 1 year old. So it took
Yeah.
us a long time to even know what was going on. Um,
Hmm.
so just terrifying. But then, like, knowing that she's in pain, that's the worst part for me, is I'm like,
Yeah,
I would do anything to take her pain away from
yeah,
her, and I can't. And I think that that can be really, really depressing at times. And
yes,
so that's like, even though, like, obviously this, my work with Wish Come True is for the kids, it's like kind of a lifeline to me, because I just
yeah.
need something hang my hat on, to something to feel like I can, get through this. And I kind of learned early on that, like, because she has genes associated with both syndromes, I think right away I just wanted to, like, hope that they were going to get the gene therapies going, and we'd
Right.
be able to do that and get these episodes to stop. And over, the course of a couple of years, I just got to a point where I was like, I just can't live in that place. Like, I think it's wonderful to raise money and awareness, and I will be so happy whenever, genetic therapy is possible. But I just can't live there in that place of waiting for it, because I don't want to wait Dallas's life away, and, like,
Yeah. You have to
something.
take care of the now.
Yeah. And I think I'm reminded constantly of that because, just last week, we lost another child with AHC who was 6 and Dallas is 5, and all the kids are different, but we've lost, I think, 7 kids this year with AHC. And so it's like, always, it's just in my face of, like, I don't know how long I have with her. So I need to make the best of it and enjoy her. And yeah, so, but at the same time that it's been scary seeing these kids pass away, it was, like, kind of heavy in, like, an amazing way, because somehow this was not planned, but somehow
Right.
I had been able to make a video or touch that kid with magic from Wish for half of those kids who passed this year, and that
Yeah.
I never could have known. So, that kind of made, I don't know, for me, grieving those kids a little bit easier, of, like, okay, at least I got to do something helpful.
Yeah.
And we're actually working on a video right now for the sibling of a child of a family who lost their AHC warrior
Oh,
this year.
wow.
And so it's kind of like our first time doing, like, a grieving video,
Yeah.
um and then
And that's
weaving a different
important.
story. And yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so
So
important. And I think you're like I was kind of saying earlier, but what you are going through with your experience as a parent, there's so many parents and families and siblings out there. And this, being able to call a wish come true, this is something they can do for their children.
yeah,
And you're giving them that opportunity. And
yeah,
so and I will say, I know you can't know always what she's feeling. As someone that kind of experiences a microscope of what she's feeling, because I have extreme pain too. And
yeah.
I know watching like I watch way too much TV these days, but it takes me to another place.
Mhm.
And it helps me think on something that isn't my pain, and it helps me relax. So I imagine that these videos are like that for these children. You are bringing them joy. It's almost like meditation in a way for them, because it's fantasy. It's taking them away from what they're currently experiencing, and kids need that.
Yeah.
And being homebound is very isolating.
Mhm.
It's very isolating, and I'm sure that affects her ability to get out with other kids, school for a lot of these kids. And I know going to the hospitals, being in the hospitals aren't, and I children's hospitals do such a great job trying to make it not the way adult hospitals, but it's still a
Right.
hospital. So these kinds of programs are invaluable. Could you describe, like, maybe your favorite video? And then I'd love to hear about this grieving video, because I think a lot of people don't keep in mind how disability and death and all affect the family as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think my favorite video that we've done recently was a special request, which is my favorite because that's when I get to, like, pull on all my actor friend resources and who fits this role and where can we get this
Yeah.
costume and all of that. And so it was for a young girl with HC who was turning, I believe, 12. And her mom reached out and asked if we could do Woody and Bo Peep from Toy Story. And I was like, yes, let's do it. And so gathered up some of my friends that have played those roles for us. And my favorite part is writing the scripts. So I like to gather as much information I can from the family on like, what does your child enjoy? What are their interests? How do they communicate? What would they like, a story, a song? Do they want an adaptive dance lesson? Like, what would be most fun for
Oh,
them?
cool.
And so the
Yeah.
videos actually end up being like between like 8 and sometimes 20 minutes, because it's kind of like their own little princess like TV special.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun. I had her mom give me like a list of words that described her, and we just like, yeah, so we put the video together, and I send it to my actors. They film it on their own with like just a blank wall. They send it back to me, and then with very, very minimal skills in editing, I use, Canva and iMovie, and change out
Yep.
backgrounds and add stuff. And I'm just like, even though I am a perfectionist, I try really hard not to be, because I'm like, I want to make it perfect. The point is for them to be happy. So let's just,
Yes.
but it came together so well, and it was really fun. And she just loves Toy Story. And her mom said, like her development kind of evened out kind of early on. And so her interests aren't super, like there's not a ton of interest she has. So to
Right.
be able to grab one of her interests and then use it, we like made her an honorary toy award. So Woody and Buzz, made her, and that's when we used all those adjectives about, she's creative, she is loyal, she is brave, all the different things.
So the
And
child is in the story.
yeah, yes,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So it kind of,
incredible.
we
Yeah.
do it like the princess is talking to the kids. So they're just
Oh,
like,
wow.
I heard so much about you, and and us at, in Woody's toys are so proud of you, or whatever it is, like, and then we just like use it to make it special and about the kids. So we call out the pets,
Yeah.
oh, say hi to your dog Hero, and say hi to your cat, and oh, your sister, hi back there to Alicia, or whoever it is, and just try to make it feel like they're being talked straight to.
Yeah. It's
Um,
so immersive, and that's incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. And then we always do a song because kids love music. So then we did, of
Yes.
course, You've Got a Friend in Me, and my friend. So they sing, all of us that do these are singers. So they sing You Got a Friend in Me. And even like we tried to include her favorite stuffed animal, and talking about her favorite stuffed animal. And it was the most special part for me was, I got it all edited and sent off to her mom, and her mom, I think I sent it like at midnight the night before her birthday, because I was like, I have
Yeah.
to get it by her birthday. And then her mom would be back at like 2 o'clock in the morning and was like, this is incredible. I really thought it was just going to be like a minute of the character saying like, hi, to the kids. And she's like,
Yeah.
this is so special. She'll be able to watch this every night before she goes to bed, and when she's not
Yeah.
feeling good. And like, I was just like, yes, like that is what I'm trying to do. Because I think sometimes people don't completely understand what we're trying to do. They see
Yeah.
Princess Company and they're like, oh, okay, you do birthday parties. And like, we will, but that is not at all the focus. Um,
It's much, and I think parents and kids will appreciate too what you're doing, who are a part of this community, because uh, a lot of these kids, particularly with the rare diseases, but even not rare diseases, it is very isolating. It can be very depressing, and uh, giving them joy. That's one element that we can, you can take care of, you can control, and giving them that happiness that helps their physical health as well. I mean,
yeah.
I could see your company going like nationwide. Like, this is just such a need, I think,
Thank you.
out there. And it's just because I just, when I didn't know, when we met online in the forum for hemiplegic migraines, I had no idea about the other condition that your daughter has. And when I found out children, like young children, like from birth, can just randomly go paralyzed, I just was horrified. Like, that's terrifying. And I just, I just think it's amazing what you do. Like, because God, I'm like blubbering. I love kids. And my background is theater as well. And
I
I was
know,
a
it's so cool.
teaching artist. Um, so I'm like, for me, the podcast was this is something I could do. I can do in my bed. I can do on bad days. I can go paralyzed, pause, come back, or just say, can't do it today, paralyzed. But there is a lack of joy. And I don't want kids to experience what I experience.
Yeah.
And I know families don't want that for their children. And I think this is just an incredible service that you're giving. And I think it's also, I'm sure, very rewarding for your actors as well.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Have you gotten a response from them about these videos that they're getting to be a part of to enrich children's lives?
Definitely. I think I've had a lot of fun hiring my friends and people that I think oftentimes they kind of it's like a threefold, like have a heart for kids, can pass enough for the character, and then have,
Yeah,
the singing and acting skills. And so there's just been like I think everything we do is always really fun, but when you can tell it's making a difference, it's really special. So we did like an event around Christmas time last year at the Ronald McDonald House, and I brought 10 princesses, and we had only a few kids come through. So of course, for me, I'm thinking like, oh, what a flop, But the few kids that came had the time of their lives, and those children who were there happened to speak Spanish, and my princess who was there as Jasmine is fluent in Spanish. So that
wow.
was incredible, watching her talk to the mom and offer compassion, and then seeing the little boy was playing like, oh, I don't even know what it's called, like show like Woody with the guns.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh well, they're like playing like pretend gun and running
Yeah.
around the room, and we all the kid would run through, and we'd all do like the big tunnel and go woo, and so like I think they had a lot of fun with things like that. And then
Yeah.
we've done a couple other like concerts and things like that where it's just really special, when I'm able to bring in someone the kids can see themselves represented in. So I
Yeah.
have a wonderful actor, Sierra, who portrays the new live action Ariel for us. And she
Oh,
also
cool.
disabled. She has fibromyalgia and chronic pain and fatigue and things like that. And so she uses a cane for mobility, and she
Uh-huh.
always like decorates it to go along with her character. And I just love that because then we had a little girl who came in, and her favorite princesses was, two of them that we had. And then she got to go talk to Ariel, and Ariel had something that kind of looked like her because that girl used a
Yeah.
wheelchair for mobility. And it was just like those moments are really special, I think, for the actors, but the videos too, because I always copy them in the email to the parent with with the video link so that they can watch how it all came together. And then if I get any feedback, I always share that. And so even though it's really sad, in this past week when one of the children who has AHC, our community is really small. It's like only like maybe a few hundred in the world. So we know each other
Wow.
pretty well. And
Yeah.
so when we lose a kid, it's like we all grieve, you
Grief.
know? Um, and so this little girl, it's not like I knew her really well, but I had written a video for her, and their family was bilingual. So we did a portion of the video as a Spanish Elsa, and then a portion of the video with like an American Elsa, kind of like played it off like Miss America, like
Yeah.
two Elsas. And she
Oh, that,
sang part of Let It Go in Spanish, and then they both sang, and then we transitioned it into the American version. And that was
oh,
the
that's
first
so
time that
cool.
we tried to use like, another language. And so I just remembered that girl, and her mom's response to me in the email was so sweet. She was like, "Oh, she sends you smooches. She says thank you. She loves it." And that little girl really devastating passed away last week, which at the age of 6. So as
Wow.
much as that's terrible, I reached out to the two girls that worked on that video and was just like, "Hey, this is what happened, and it's really sad, but I want you to know that, like, thank you for helping me to bring some joy to her life, and I'm just happy that we got to do it while she was here." And
Yeah.
you know, it's So it can be really rewarding, and especially because I live this life where I don't know what Dallas's future will look like. I just can very much empathize with the parents and what they must be feeling. And that's kind of how we got to the video I was telling you about, of like a grieving video, really, for the
Yeah.
sibling of another child with AHC who passed away. And I just reached out to the parents because I feel helpless and I like to help. And I just hate thinking of their pain and what they're going through and the
Yeah.
holidays. Like, and so I was just like, I just want to do something. And so I just reached out and was like, would Big Sister like a video? No pressure. You don't have to reply if this isn't. And they wrote back and said she would love it. And they kind of gave me some language that they would like me to use about encouraging the sister to share how she feels, and it's okay to be sad, it's okay to cry. And so then I integrated that into the script. And so it's Anna is the character that was chosen from Frozen. And I mean, like, how perfect could that be? That's just the princess she
Elsa
wants.
and Anna. Yeah.
In a sense, loses Elsa. And so of course we're gonna sing a portion of Do the Next Right Thing, which is like that song is just like, I just want
Yeah.
to sing that for every kid going through hard stuff in the world. And then like Elsa is going to, I do a voiceover that's Elsa, like write a letter where she's like sharing how she felt, losing her parents. But like we don't keep it, it's not super heavy. It might sound like it's super
Yeah.
heavy. We kind of just like have the characters connect. And then of course there's sections that are just like, I heard you love gymnastics. That's so cool. I'm not
Yeah.
very good at gymnastics, but Elsa is, and she can throw snowballs off her feet when she does a cartwheel or whatever, trying to find ways to connect. So that is in process right now. And so I think it's really rewarding for all of us to be able to feel like we can do something for these families that are going through something so difficult.
Well,
And
it
also it's
sounds
like,
so child, sorry,
I don't know.
it sounds so child appropriate, and I'm sure your education background is going into that too. And even though, we don't want to be heavy, I guess, with kids, they're going through heavy things. So
Yeah.
this is what an incredible way to talk with them about that and help
Yeah.
them process it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's like kind of maybe what's unique to my situation of like being in it with these other parents. It's like I feel less imposter syndrome in like writing the scripts or whatever,
Right.
because I'm like, well, I can imagine what that would be like.
Right.
And and I think it may be my neurodivergence, I don't know, but I have always been more comfortable with the hard things in life than with like the everyday and the chit
Yeah.
chat and the surface level. So for whatever reason, like as much as like death and your all these things are very uncomfortable in our culture, it's something that I do feel comfortable kind of leaning into. And so that I think is just like a blessing in this scenario, because I'm
Yes.
not like, oh, let's not talk about that. And it seems so far I haven't gotten any negative feedback, so hopefully it's being received well.
Well, it
um
sounds wonderful, and I can imagine this is going to be really wonderful for her sister who's grieving her,
yeah,
and the parents that are trying to find a way to help her through a difficult time. You're empowering them too.
yeah, thank you.
Um, where do you see, well, could you also explain a little bit more about AHC? Did I say it correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know it is rare, and it's uh can you help them give an understanding of what children who experience this are going through, and like you said, it can be terminal or
Yeah.
um
Yeah, it's super rare. So it's AHC, it stands for alternating hemiplegia of childhood. And there's some discussion about changing the word childhood to complex because it can be misleading. People will think like, oh, they grow out of it. And we would all like to think that, but that's not at all what we see in the community or in the research. Um, And so the way that it's been described in like literature and like with the foundation is that it's kind of like if you took mild CP, dystonia, epilepsy, autism, and ADHD, and then tied it all up with a string. And that is essentially an easier way for people to understand it. But clinically, what happens is the kid usually before the age of 18 months has their first severe episode. And that's when it usually becomes apparent, because I now look back at pictures of Dallas, and they have the moving pictures on the iPhones, and I'll like look at it, and then at the time I was like, oh, what a cute little smirk. She's making such a cute little Elvis smile.
Yeah.
Now I look back and I'm like, no, she's having one-sided paralysis. Like she is leaning over to the side, has a half smile, and it's because, she was having paralysis. Or I'll see a video where I just think she's just wiggling around. And now, because I know her signs so well, I'm like, oh, that was right arm wing dystonia, or that was cervical dystonia. So looking back, but anyway, by the time that they're 18 months, they usually have their first big episode. Dallas did at about 13 months. They usually end up hospitalized because it's at that point, it usually involves some abnormal eye movements. So in Dallas's case, I was trying to wean her from breastfeeding, and she has a lot of food intolerances that we don't know if that goes along with her diagnosis or not. But she appeared to get some kind of virus, and then got a fever. That's always a trigger. And she got real floppy, which I had seen her do before. And I just thought, well, she was premature and she was like slower to develop. So I just thought, well, that's what her body does. But as it got more severe, it became more apparent. It was like I called my sister, who's a nurse, and was like, her head is like a rag doll. Like she cannot hold her head
Can't
up.
hold up her head.
Yeah, like this is weird. And at the time we were having a lapse in insurance because she and I had been on Medicaid, and then the amounts required to qualify change after the child's a year. And so we both got kicked off Medicaid. And so we were changing to marketplace insurance, which is fine and dandy, but the out of pockets are like $18,000, So we were in a situation where we were really scared to even go to the hospital because we knew we would get a bill. We had already had an $11,000 bill for an EEG at a different hospital that was considered not emergent, as if seizures are not an emergency. Okay.
Right.
That's a story for another day. But I was like, Catherine, to my sister, do we need to go to the hospital? And unsure, but then the eye movement started, and I was like, okay, my gut just said, nope, we're going. Like we will figure out the bill later, because essentially her eyes went from kind of nystagmus, like movement back and forth, to just being stuck upward in her head. And I was like, something is really wrong, And so we rushed her to the ER, and she ended up having like status dystonicus, and she was having like her liver and ALT, AST, all her labs were like looking not good, and metabolic acidosis and all these things. And so suddenly we were having like a head CT scan and EEGs, and trying to figure out what was going on. And so now that's like, as much as they can give you medication to try to lessen the severity or the frequency of the episodes, I don't know of any kid who's ever been able to not have them. So it's kind of just like, now this is a part of our life where generally every 2 to 3 weeks, and whenever she is sick, she will lose the ability to walk, lose the ability to talk, lose the ability to swallow. So she can't eat. She can't communicate. And then the dystonia is so severe, especially for her, in like her neck and her jaw and her back and her stomach, that we have vomiting, which I know also goes along with migraine. And it's just like, it's horrific. It's horrific. And we have a rescue med that we now can use when it's really severe like that. That took us years to get figured out. And so these last a long time. Like occasionally she'll have one that's 30 minutes or a few hours, but almost always it's multiple days.
At
At least 2 days. with a third day that you're kind of still half in it, and then but up
Right.
to a week to 10 days, including recovery. And it is just like living in fight flight as a caregiver for her, because it's just terrifying. So, we've tried everything to try to get them stopped. And I think in the past year, I've finally come to a place of acceptance of like, as much as I hate this, I don't think they're going to stop. And so how can I gain some level of control of what I can do to make things better for her?
Right.
Um, and so we ended up getting her a G tube last year, which for various reasons, but the largest one being that she couldn't eat or drink for days or take medication because she
Right.
couldn't swallow. So we couldn't even give her meds to make it stop. And so that, along with getting a good rescue med, have been probably the two best things that we've done for her. And getting a G tube at the age of almost 5 was a difficult choice, but I'm so glad we did it, because she
Of
does
course.
a lot better with it.
Swallowing problems are dangerous,
Yeah.
like it's, and I think that's something people don't think of as well. And sometimes you have to make those decisions that have consequences as well, but it's outweighing, the, and
Yes.
and that's a really hard responsibility to have when she can't make
Mhm.
that. But I think, I mean, you're doing everything you can, and you're bringing her joy and um others joy. And I'm sure this is also a good stress relief too. And
Yes.
and also being able to use your creativity and everything, like, it's giving you purpose. And yeah, that's got to be an incredible, and you light up when you talk about it,
Yeah.
um which is a wonderful thing.
Mhm.
Like it's a wonderful thing. And then I I'm excited to bring awareness to what you're doing, because I think more people should know that there is a program out there like this,
Mhm.
and uh yeah, I just think it's, or do you currently involve, like, have Princess, like, do Prince videos or things like, or most of your um uh I guess recipients girls, or like do you mix it up as well?
Yeah, like, honestly, our biggest barrier is money. So
Right.
I whatever I can make happen. So for, the first year, I hustled and did birthday parties for any
Right.
kid to make the money to then be able to get the costume and the actor and everything. But
Right.
most of our actors are volunteers and enjoy doing it just for, the love of
To
bringing
do a
kids.
good thing. Yeah.
So we have, usually I can get guys, excuse me, for princes and superheroes, we'll do at like
Right.
in-person events. Like we'd like to do like a trunk or treat for Dallas's um,
Right.
therapy clinic. And then we took princesses to her school as well. And things like that. And we have tried to get guys in the videos, but I've had a little bit more trouble getting the actors on the team, on the docket. But I think that's coming. I mean, this is still just like
It's tough, because I'm gonna pass this out to everybody I know
yeah,
and be
thank
like,
you.
hey, you should do this. This is a good cause.
Yeah.
This is incredible. You can help a child,
Yeah.
like
But I
go
will
be a
say,
Marvel hero. And balloon twisters and
yeah,
like things like that's why I wanted to shout out to Michelle Weisgerber out there in
yeah.
Chicago. She makes superhero balloons and
Oh,
things
that's
like that. Like
awesome.
that's the one thing she taught me, how to be a clown, when I lived there. And I was a horrible, horrible clown. She's incredible, but I can still, when my hand is work, probably not these days, but when it was working, I could do a Spider-Man balloon on a web. She taught me that, and
That's
that's
so cool.
like my claim to fame, I guess.
That's so
But
cool.
yeah, I just think this is you're going to get the right people involved, like you
Yes,
said, and you're
definitely.
becoming your nonprofit.
Yes, so
um
we're becoming nonprofit in this coming year. I kind of basically got to the point where You know, I don't pay myself ever. I just do this
Right.
for joy and for giving back. But even just like having the funds to purchase costumes or
Right.
giveaway items, or to be able to get enough people to go to an event to make it worth
Right.
it for the place. I usually do try to either hustle and do birthday parties or whatever, so I can pull from that money to pay actors. And I just reached a point where I was like, okay, I love what I'm doing and I know it has meaning. But am I going to run myself into the ground? Like, is this
Right.
sustainable? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I'll just stay up all night and do whatever. But I forget that I am also the caregiver for Dallas. So if she has a
It's a
bad day,
lot.
I'm not
Yeah.
getting a nap. So, trying to balance taking care of myself and also, you know, giving back. My mom always reminds me, you don't have to save the world, Izzy. And I'm like, I know, but I want
It's
to.
hard. Yeah.
So I just decided like that I think we needed to go nonprofit.
Yeah.
And I had a meeting with a woman who runs another wonderful nonprofit organization called Grace Blankets, that she created this in memory of two children that she lost in the hospital. And so I did an event with her where we brought princesses to like a NICU parents' night out and for siblings and stuff. And so being able to talk to her about like how you make that transition and all the logistics of it was super, super helpful. So that's the direction that we're headed this year, is do some fundraising and get more
You can
awareness.
get grants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that way it will be more sustainable, because then I'm not trying to work my tushy off in order to get an actor to go meet with the kid, or
Right.
doing all of that myself. So yeah, so that's, we're gonna do like a t-shirt fundraiser, which will be fun because there's a couple different, you know, like magical t-shirts, but then one has a little girl who had leukemia, and then I was Princess Ariel for her, and my friend turned it into like a graphic, so it looks really cool and kind of gets the
Oh,
point.
wow.
And so we'll do that, and then we'll open up for, you know, just whatever giving people want to do. And then we'll probably do some kind of like big in-person fundraiser that I would love to do, like in conjunction with one of the area, like Variety KC, or is a group that like serves children with disabilities. So something like that, so that I can keep this going, because I have lots of interest and it's difficult to meet all those needs, but I think we're getting a good rhythm, and I think the non-for-profit will really, really help a lot. So
That will help a lot. And we're gonna share your information like on our website as well. And if you ever have updates, we'll update as well in our news section. That way we can uh try to get that information out there as well,
yeah.
as best we can. Because I think this is just a incredible opportunity for parents everywhere. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my hope, is that, and that's the other nice thing, is being a caregiver. I can do a lot of this from home and on our schedule. And, you know, a lot
Right.
of times if Dallas needs to be in a dark room and inside her sensory tent, I can just camp out on the floor next to her and rub her back. And then with the other hand, be researching whatever costume or writing a script for somebody, and or editing. And that also gives me a sense of like productivity, you know, on a day that might be kind of more of a down day. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to, and she loves it. She loves Mommy Princess. And I came to her school and she was telling everybody, Mommy Princess today, and
Oh, that's
Mommy Princess in the
adorable.
gym. Or she'll, you know, I get her like matching dresses and stuff like that. And we're not even like super sparkly princessy type people.
Yeah,
It's like, but it's like the tool, you know, it's like the
of
tool
course.
to communicate, but it's so much fun. And
Does she ever help you edit, like get her input,
yeah, sometimes she really likes to go with me to like the in-person
the
type stuff.
events?
Like last year we did like a free princess crowning ceremony, and like basically like a mini party for, there was like
Yeah,
a regional AHC family meetup. And that's when we met like a bunch of families from the area for the first time. So it's so sweet because she came with me and she was my little helper, but she also got to, you know, meet other little girls who were like her. And so yeah, she
that's
loves
everything.
what
Yeah,
I'm wearing. And I always come, if I've, you know, been at an event or something, I always come back and I stay in costume even though it's uncomfortable, so I can go in her room and give her smooches and she can look at my hair, my sparkly dress. And And she knows all my princess girls now. She'll be like, Miss Melissa, Miss Stephanie, you know. So it's fun. It's a fun bonding thing. And I always make sure too that if I buy lots of like fun garb, like stickers and crowns and, you know, temporary tattoos and things to pass out to the kids. Like she always gets to have one of all of them because she is one of our kids too. So
Yeah,
she's very spoiled in a good way.
that's amazing. Is there I just so excited we finally got to do this and you're on our show.
Ooh, yes.
We'll have to make it like an annual thing and do updates as
Love that. That'd be so fun.
you grow, learn. But is there any final thing you'd like to share with the audience? Or advice for parents going through this as well?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I still feel like I'm such a newbie in this, but if I was going to offer like what lesson maybe I've learned through this process of being Dallas's mom and trying to also find a way out of my own pit of despair, and that really the biggest piece for me was acceptance of things being different than I expected. But that, even though that can sound maybe sad, it set the framework for me to be able to find and experience the joy in the life that we do have. And so, you know, sometimes people will talk about, you know, like you know, why did this happen to us? Or like, why is she experiencing this? And like, obviously I do ask those questions and I wonder about the answers, but I think I just always think if I could take this away from her, I would do anything I could to take it away. But at the same time, like, this is who Dallas is. And I love Dallas so much. I wouldn't do anything. So if that means we have to have AHC in order to have Dallas, then that's what we'll do, you know? And so I just I think that wish come true and being Dallas's mom, I've just like learned to find those pockets of joy, and like those kind of get me through, you know, another hard episode or another hard hospital stay or whatever. And sometimes that's just, you know, snuggling in bed or painting her toenails or, you know, talking to her while she plays her favorite iPad game. And sometimes that's editing a princess video or visiting someone sick in the hospital as a princess or whatever. I think that to be able to enjoy the life that you have as best you can is like the best thing that I found that I can do, with things being not what I expected them to be necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible advice.
Thank you.
It's hard to do, but I think it's necessary, and it's really, really good advice. So thank you. And for those listening and watching, stay tuned for Nate and I to do our after party discussion. And thank you. Thank you so much for being on, Izzy.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening, everyone.
And we're back for the after party. We just had the interview with Izzy Duval of Wish Come True Company. And we've got myself, your host, Christina Brookman, and the wonderful Dr. Nate Strauss. So, Nate, what did you think of Izzy and this company?
I thought it was nice. I don't know. I kept getting like flashes of, you know, in the movie Titanic, where they're like, where the musicians are playing the instrument. I mean, I'm not saying that what she's doing isn't a good thing, but it feels like you're playing a symphony as the ship is sinking, and it's beautiful, but it's tragic.
It is tragic. I think no, I think that's valid, because what these kids are going through, what their families are going through, is really, you know, catastrophic. It's scary, it's sad, it's and I think what she's trying to do is and succeeding, because I've seen pictures. If you go on the website, I mean, the kids just look so happy, you know, and if it can just brighten a little bit of their life during that, I think that's the point, if that makes sense, you know?
Well, I think there's something to be said about quality over quantity.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people live long lives, but they've never really had, genuine happiness.
yeah,
And I think that is significant. Like, since she can't fix their problem, like she can't fix what's wrong with them, this is like the next best thing that she can do
right.
as a theater person to put
Yeah,
on.
she's figured out her niche and how she can contribute and make lives better. And using her daughter as inspiration, which I think is cool. I also think it's cool that her daughter gets to participate a little bit and, be proud of her mother for what her mother's doing, princess mommy. I I also loved what she said about um living in the now, and like she's facing um not knowing how much time she has with her child, and I can't even imagine that. But I think it's almost wonderful advice for all of us, with disability, without disability is, I mean, and if COVID taught us nothing, it's that you really don't, I mean, you could go any day, right? By an illness, getting hit by a car, anything could happen. So it's really about trying to wake up each day and make the best of each day. And she's trying to help families do that for her kids. I also thought this new thing that she's working on with grieving for the sister that lost a sister recently. I think that's wonderful because, we do a lot of things with adults about talking about grieving, but to have, like, I mean, kids really do learn through interaction, through repetition, and things like that. So having a video that using characters that the child loves and looks up to, kind of introducing those themes and encouraging her, letting her know it's okay to cry. It's almost like the parents' voices through those characters that she's loves to help her, to help them start those conversations with her. um I can't even imagine, like, if I had a kid and there was a loss, like, trying to have that conversation. So I think this is really cool that Wish Come True is doing this, but I also think it's wonderful that the parents are thinking of that and also participating in the process, you know.
Hmm. Are you familiar with Dr. Patch Adams?
I that Robin Williams played in the movie, correct?
Yeah, he
I
played
don't know
Robin
that
Williams.
much, but yeah.
It's similar. I think it's similar in um method, like that he believed as a doctor, and that's, I mean, I think I don't know if he's still alive, but he has that Gesundheit Institute where it's just like it's sort of like an injection of humor into
Yeah,
treatment to help brighten spirits
yeah,
as well as treat as a physician. And I
right,
think that this does a similar effect of brightening children's spirits, not necessarily through humor, but through
right.
joy, And I think that has a very similar healing effect.
Absolutely. Because, like,
Appreciate appreciate that.
I think that, thank you for bringing that up. I hadn't even thought of that connection. That's really cool. Because, like, and you're right that, like, I mean, our mental health and our physical health are so connected, right? So, like, if we focus on that joy or things that we can find joyful, or we're exposed to joyful things, that helps. I've noticed for myself that's helped me. It helps the pain feel less painful, or it helps distract me from the pain. Sometimes that makes me push myself too much, and I have to be cognizant of that. But it's very helpful, and kind of together, like, working on my physical health helps my mental health. How about you?
Right. Well, yeah, but I mean, there's the mind body connection. I think that having good spirits is helpful. It's not a cure, but it
Right.
certainly is another thing in your favor when you're fighting an impossible diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I think the
And
mental aspect is underrated when it comes to healing.
truly, truly. I think it's because it's like that dirty word, that we ignore mental health because there's that stigma, but there shouldn't be a stigma. And there is that mind body connection, like you said.
Right.
Um,
It gets lumped into the foo-foo, hippie, holistic, because that group is big into the mind-body connection. When it
right.
comes to formal medicine, it kind of gets thrown out with the nonsense.
Well, and I think sometimes in formal medicine, when mental health is brought up, it's brought up in the regard that, oh, you're crazy, or, like it's in your
Well,
head kind of thing. Not
maybe
always.
some places. I think it's more accepted now than it was, say, 50 years ago. But yeah, there still is some
Yes,
stigma around mental illness.
very much so. Yeah. Um, and I think you're absolutely right that traditional medicine is starting to recognize, the healing power of taking care of mental health. It's just the how do we do it, but things like this, I mean, taking a walk, opening your windows and letting sunlight in if you can't go for a walk, or like these videos for kids, this is great. And I love that, I can imagine. I am not a parent, but watching my parents feel helpless a lot when they're watching what's going on with me, I can imagine, just how helpless you feel, and how she felt, dealing with Dallas. And I think it's really cool that she was like, well, I can't do the science, I can't do this, but maybe I can, this is what I can do, and if more people do that, if more people, it's so overwhelming, but I think if more people step back, everybody's got a talent, everybody's got a skill somewhere that could, even volunteering for organizations, and donating, and all of this stuff. Everybody had some way that they could contribute, and just that little bit of contribution, is going to make them feel better, but it also helps the system that is helping, you know that's my
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm also just really excited to see um where she goes with this, now that they're nonprofit, and I think that opens some doors for her, and with grants and things like that that will help them expand slowly and smartly, but in ways that could give, you know, maybe bringing actors in from different places that could special, like, I know a guy from college who would be like a perfect Tarzan, or like,
Well,
Spider-Man.
I think making it nonprofit opens it up to tax deductions,
Yes.
which I think opens the door to actual celebrity. Like maybe not A-list celebrity, but I think C-list and B-list celebrity might be in the future of something like this. Like that celebrities could volunteer to do this for children
Yeah.
and they could write it off.
And they should.
But I
you
think
know,
it's an opportunity for a quid pro quo as
right.
far as like getting
Well,
like real actors,
well,
like
there's lots of
professional
real
act,
actors, like, like
like
tons of
professional, like
well,
celebrity actors though.
but celebrity actors aren't the only real actors. There is a
Oh,
world
I
of
know, but I think there's
professional
some,
theater actors, like musical theater actors, and she's doing songs and stuff. So like this is right up that alley. And an untapped resource of people kind of everywhere, but also like what you're talking about, TV and film, voiceover actors, like and I think there's people that would want to get involved just out of the goodness of their heart, that this is something that would speak to them, either from someone in their family that might, a child or adult with a disability, or just because it just speaks to them. So I hope that we can do a little bit about getting the word out there, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. Yeah.
yeah, just like to all the celebrities. If you're listening, Beyonce or Rihanna, and you're looking for something nice to do, this might be an avenue for you all, or the
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan.
We're just gonna put it out there and just
I'm just gonna list
wish us.
celebrities. I'm gonna list
Yeah.
celebrities and just see if they take the bait.
Hey, Adina Menzel, like, let's get
Yeah.
the real Elsa out there.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, she's incredible. But no, I think there's so many talented and lovely people out there that would love to get involved and should get involved. So if you're out there listening, or people that are listening, or hey, maybe you're not a performer but you would want to donate, we've got all of her the information for Wish Come True is up on our website. When you go to the season schedule, you can click meet our guests, and she's got her own page for Wish Come True. You learn more about Izzy, but there's also some wonderful pictures that we've posted from their website of events that they've done with kids, some of their characters, and also links to their website, to donation, and also to applying to be a performer. So there's so many different ways you could get involved, and we hope that you do. So thanks for listening, and save your spoons. We'll see you soon.
If you want to contact us, please send a DM or email to speakinginspoons@gmail.com with any stories you have, or would like to interview with us on any of our upcoming topics. And check out our website for all of our upcoming episodes and what's happening in the Speaking in Spoons community at www.speakinginspoons.com. Thank you for listening to Speaking in Spoons, and have a great day.